Hello, my name is Echo Favaloro, and this is my alternative project for English 211. I've taken down notes, so I'm going to be reading a bit. Stress, how people cope, how they don't cope, and what are the effects. In an article titled Stress and Health, Psychological, Behavioral, and Biological Determinants, published by the U.S. National Library of Medicine, National Institutes of Health, the authors Snyderman, Ironson, and Siegel had this to say, quote, stressors have a major influence upon mood, our sense of well-being, behavior, and health. Acute stress responses in young, healthy individuals may be adaptive and typically do not impose a health burden. However, if the threat is unremitting, particularly in older or unhealthy individuals, the long-term effects of stressors can damage health, unquote. The co-authors go on to say that psychological interventions, including learned patterns of coping, have proven useful for treating stress-related disorders and may influence the course of chronic disease. I personally have had a very stressful semester, and one coping mechanism that I tried to embrace is that of trying new things. I sent out a questionnaire to several people to participate in an interview about things that stress them out and how they respond in a positive or negative way. The following are the video interviews that I compiled. There were many videos that were sent back to me, but there were several that didn't make the final cut, simply due to the quality of the video or the length of the video, not due to the content. So please sit back and enjoy the following interviews and see if you can find any new ways to help manage your stressful situations when they arise.
Hi, my name is Christine, and I'm going to look down a few times because I have the list of questions in front of me. My age is 34. My occupation is I work at a middle school and I do marketing, development, recruitment, operations, and a bunch of other things. My marital status, I am not married, but I do share a home with my boyfriend, and I do not have any children. Some things that stress me out. Finances can be stressful if it's a month with a lot of particular expenses and things seem tight. Feeling overwhelmed at work, feeling like there's just not enough time in the day stresses me out. Any big life changes, I move different cities a lot, so having to coordinate the logistics of a new apartment and a new job and how am I going to get my couch there and, finding a new church and those things can be stressful for me. Being around people who are always upset really stresses me out. My job is really stressful because the environment is very chaotic and there's a lot of tension and there's a lot of conflict among my coworkers, and that tends to seep into me in certain ways and kind of stress me out. So those are some of the things that stress me out. Some ways that I respond negatively to stress. Physically, I do feel a lot of anxiety. I get knots in my stomach. I lose my appetite. I start to feel panicky, like that feeling like you can't catch a full breath. I get headaches. Those are some of the physical ramifications of really intense, stressful situations for me. I also tend to withdraw sometimes, and being alone isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's actually helpful, but in situations where I withdraw to the point that I'm not relying on people who care about me to help carry my stress or, to express what I'm going through can sometimes exacerbate the experience for me. Positive activities that have helped me manage my stress. I'm a water kid, so anytime I can get to the beach, that tends to be really helpful. I like to be in open spaces. I like to physically remove myself from a place that feels stressful and see the sky, see the water, get some fresh air. Yoga helps me immensely. I've been practicing yoga for almost 15 years now, and it's really changed my perspective on life in general. Just the focus on breathing and being able to clear your mind of clutter is really, really helpful. Any type of exercise or physical exertion, even just going for a walk around the block, is really, really helpful for me also. I also like, this is going to sound kind of corny, but I like to busy myself doing nice things for other people when I feel overwhelmed. I read a quote somewhere one time that says something like, the best way to heal a broken heart is to bless somebody else's. But I think it applies beyond broken hearts. Anytime I feel really consumed with myself and I'm feeling overwhelmed by my feelings, I shift the focus to somebody else and something that I might be able to do to bless someone else. So, for example, I've made cupcakes for my students. I have written letters to my relatives and sent them in the mail. Anything that I can do to busy my hands and my mind and really get the focus off of myself for a few minutes tends to really help me. What else? I made some notes here. Yeah, I think I covered it. Those are all the things I had written down here. I think that prayer is also really helpful for me. That's something I can just kind of sneak away and find a quiet corner and spend some time on my own, spend some time talking to God. That's really helpful. Um, but yeah, I think that for me, physical activity and just being able to change my mindset is the most helpful thing.
My name is Alyssa. I was asked to answer some questions about stress and how I personally deal with it. Some background on me is I'm 26 years old. My occupation is an emergency medical technician. I am married and I have one child. The first question I'll be answering is, what are some things that stress you out? So some things that stress me out would be putting too much on my plate. At one point in time, I was trying to go to school full-time, work full-time, and juggle family life. And at first, that was a very stressful time. And another thing that really stresses me out is disorganization, clutter. I don't like things to be a mess. I like stuff organized, in their place, and easy accessible. The next question is, how do you respond negatively to stress? So when I'm stressed out, I am very irritable. I get anxiety. I get a headache. I'm just not a very pleasant person to be around, that's for sure. The next question is, what are some activities you have attempted that have had positive results when dealing with stressful situations? So the number one thing for me was, like, when I was juggling too much and trying to go to school and do all that, I would make a checklist. So I'd make a checklist for work, I would make a checklist for school, and I would make a checklist for home. So I always had this little notepad, and just really helped me stay organized, not feel so stressed, and I felt like there was no surprises. I kind of just had everything laid out. Another thing was, when it comes to like disorganization and clutter and stuff, I would just make a point that I always picked up after myself. That I would just do a little bit of picking up at night, dishes after dinner, just try to stay on top of everything. It didn't always happen. Sometimes I was just so tired, but I made a point to always try to make sure that happened. Some other activities, I would make sure I gave myself at least 10 minutes to go outside, walk my dogs, take a walk with my daughter, just try to do something, walk with my husband, just try to do something that I enjoyed. I really liked being outside, so I just try to incorporate at least 10 minutes of that, some time to try to give myself a break.
Hi, I'm Zekade Robert, age 33, a doctor who is single with no children. Things like having the skills but not the means to help people really stress me out. Or, giving in your best work and you get mediocre results. Ooh, that drives me nuts. Responding to stress negatively. Let's see, I watch a lot of movies and eat a lot. Let's see, how do I respond to stress positively? I usually meditate on the Word of God. I'm a Christian. Sometimes it helps to think positively. If I fail at something, I can always think that there is another opportunity for me to do better. And of course, in the immediate after effect, you need, breathing exercises to help you relax. Thinking positive has helped me a lot in coping with stress. So, yeah.
Hello, my name is Casey Griffith. I am 25 years old. I am married. My husband and I have one little girl right here. She is a month and a half old. And I am a staffing consultant. So I help people find jobs and help companies find people who are looking for work. Let's see here. So some things that stress me out. Let's see here. Having a cluttered home stresses me out, which if you could see my house right now would make you laugh. It's quite cluttered. Things just out of place and unorganized is very stressful for me. I am not the best at time management, and so having things in exactly where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, is pretty important when I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to get something done. Responding to stress. I have anxiety. I have since I was very young. So I've learned to deal with it in different ways. The most common way is for me to just do something with my hands. If I can keep my hands busy, that kind of keeps my mind a little bit calmer and keeps me from freaking out quite as badly. Some things that I have done in the past, I've done crochet work, blankets and knitting and things like that. Just something that I can do mindlessly to keep my hands busy. Baking is also something that I do to keep my hands busy. And also something I discovered while pregnant was going for walks seemed to help quite a bit. I have tried kind of yoga and stretches for relaxation. Unfortunately, those didn't really work very well for me. I just was stressed out just a little bit looser. So, I did suffer from anxiety pretty badly in high school. Unfortunately, I never really found a healthy way to cope with that other than kind of exerting all my energy into sports and being very competitive, which is a good and bad thing all at the same time. Again, that has to do a lot with exercise, was kind of my way of getting that out. So.
Hello, I am Leah Hammonds. I am 56 years old. Yeah, 56 years old, and I live in Ruleville, Mississippi. I work for Cerner, where I design patient accounting software. I have 2 grown children, one of which is very precious. And then I have 2 more that I've just kind of adopted along the way. You know, some of them have gotten way far away. All right, so what makes me stressed out? Probably when I don't know how to do something. Like a lot of times in work, I'll come across something new and I'm just like, what in the world? How am I going to do this? And what I do is I just call somebody. I'll research it myself, and if I can't figure it out, I go ahead and just stop and call somebody. As far as personal life stuff that, definitely stressful right now because my daddy is dying of liver cancer. Daddy has never been a warm and fuzzy kind of guy. He never wanted to give us anything as far as positive reinforcement. As far as he's concerned, none of us can do anything. He is the only one who knows how to do anything. And it's very stressful dealing with him right now. But I just try to remember that he's dying. And I can't expect him to change at 81 years old. So when I'm stressed out, what do I do? Well, one thing goes first. If I don't watch it, my stomach just tears slap up. And I get very anxious. And usually, though, I start praying and singing songs. I love to sing. If I'm singing or listening to good music, that always just lifts me up above whatever it is that's bothering me. And, of course, praying. Just giving it to the Lord and going, Lord, I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know you got a plan, so I just got to leave it to you. And as far as what else works for me, sometimes I do a lot of craft work. And those are things I really enjoy. I do all the bulletin boards for the church. And I do a lot of things on the side for different decorations for the holidays for church. So I've always got something like that going on. And I love to do puzzles, especially 2,000-piece puzzles, 1,000-piece puzzles. I do that. I read, I have a bunch of murder mysteries I like to read, but lately I haven't had the time to do that. But yeah, that and gardening, that's the things that I really do enjoy. And, but as you know, hon, just the best recipe for anything that's wrong is just take it to the Lord in prayer.